Hey everyone, Joe here. This is another part of a longer discussion with Johannes from Aligned Games. Here we talk about the career path from a normal day job to being a full-time indie developer, challenges like cost of living, taking risks, and more. Part 1 is linked on the screen and in the description if you want to start from the beginning.
I don't know if we're going to get to it in this chat, but I want to talk to you about marketing and stuff like that as well. Things that I've been doing recently. Feeling a little bit more jaded about game design and starting to treat it more like a job rather than not a hobby, but something that, is passion first and more something that is becoming survival oriented, if I can put it that way, because at some point for it to be a career, it has to become a career. And that sounds stupid, but it's the reality. It's, you can't just make a couple $1,000s a month forever. You at some stage you need to make real money to be able to hire people and make a big team. And obviously I know you're not at that point with your game, and your situation is a little bit different because you are supporting yourself with a job. But I guess the question is, if the game is successful, would you be interested in sort of making it the kind of thing where you then use that as a launching pad to start your own studio, or do you always want to go the indie route with all of the games?
Oh man, yeah, that's a big question. It's probably too early for me to answer that exactly. I'm more at the stage of, like you said, I have a full-time job, so I'm doing all this stuff just, nights and weekends when I have time. Which is it's a tough pace to keep up because when you work all day and then you're like, all right, time to work some more, and when does the rest of life happen?
Yeah, and you have family and you have friends and you have pets and responsibilities. So it's just interesting to me to see that dynamic, because the main reason I'm asking that is because you said when you were able to join the partner program, you mentioned that it would help financially support the channel and support your endeavors. So it's interesting to me to know that, is there a financial separation between being a game developer as a hobbyist and, your professional life? Or is it the sort of thing where eventually that, you would merge them? I guess is what I'm getting at. And this isn't specifically about your game. It's just about where you see yourself as someone. I'm just sort of drawing some comparisons between the sort of developers that we are.
Yeah, it's definitely evolving, and some of this also has to do with a topic I'm not going to go into significantly, which is the full-time job. The market is tough right now, so I'm evaluating my current career path, and I've been doing web development for like 15 years now almost, and I'm like, do I want to keep doing that? Like if I had to pivot now, would I still do that? Maybe not. And if I was going to pivot, when would I do it? What stage of my life would I do it? And maybe now's the time. Maybe now I've got a bit of financial runway where I could take a risk like that.
Yeah,
but
I think
it's
interesting to me as well, because I think a big difference as well is you being an American. It's also you have to look at it differently because the cost of living is a lot higher for someone in that part of the world.
Yeah, and I live in the Bay Area in California, so it's even worse than normal. Like there's places in the US where you can live relatively inexpensively. Not where I live right now. So
yeah,
that is also another consideration.
Yeah, and no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, there's sort of a mutual. I have this Bay Area tech job, sort of, and I have this Bay Area cost of living, and they're kind of linked. So if Bay Area tech job goes away, what happens to Bay Area lifestyle, Bay Area cost of living? Could get a little dicey. So that's a consideration as well. Like most of the time, if an indie game developer, to bring it back to game development, if they are thinking about going independent and quitting their job or whatever, one of the things that comes up a lot is they move somewhere that is cheaper. And I don't really want to do that right now for reasons I won't get into.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stuck in the, need some, real job to support myself and what I do, but then also want to make this game, and it's important to me to make this game at this point. Like I'm so far into it, not in like a uh, what is it? The gambler's fallacy. What's the thing I'm thinking of? Good money after bad. You know what I'm talking about. Um, Not in that sort of way, like, oh geez, now I'm stuck doing this. It's more like the deeper I get into it, the more
Yeah, I know what
the
you mean.
more I want to. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the more my brain has warmed up to the idea of taking big risks, like what if we tried this thing? Like, how many wish lists do I need now? Um,
Yeah.
how long could I go and experiment? So bringing it back to like YouTube partner program type stuff. I turned on. You can run ads on your videos. That'll probably annoy some people, but
No,
it's an
I get it.
experiment at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And it'll probably make pennies, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
For a while.
it's a little bit of a bummer that YouTube doesn't retroactively pay you for watch time. Um,
Yeah, it is,
I guess it
but
makes sense
I
because
get it from their perspective as well.
yeah, because they weren't. I guess somebody said that they don't run ads on non monetized content.
Yeah.
I figured YouTube was running ads on my stuff anyway, and I just wasn't getting any. Just wasn't seeing any of it. But I guess that's not how it works. So that's rather interesting.
Yeah, and just to make this point, the reason I'm talking about this at all is just because most of the people that are going to watch this, and obviously these sort of videos don't get big numbers, but to the 200 or 300 people that are going to see this, most of them are going to be developers at this point, and maybe this is something that grows over time, but and so it's just interesting to me to have these conversations with other developers where obviously the game is important, and maybe a few people see the game and wishlist it from this, but it's important to have the conversations where other developers, maybe ones that are a little bit younger than we are, can sort of see, what is not necessarily needed, but the sort of life that, contrasting lives that people can have with video game development. And it's a difficult thing to do. So I think it's just interesting to talk about this.